Hello students, welcome to this online course of Water Resource Engineering. So in the previous lecture we have seen the various forces which can be encountered on a gravity dam. So there were total 7 forces. So let us see what could be the combination for during various cases, like when the reservoir is full, when the reservoir is empty. So we have to check for the worst scenario, for worst force combination which can cause the failure, and then we have to design the dam accordingly. So first case is when the reservoir is full. So when the reservoir is full, the major forces acting are weight of the dam, external water pressure, weight. So reservoir is full, so water will be there, water pressure. Due to this water pressure, uplift pressure will be there, and earthquake forces, but not in every zone, only in serious seismic zone. Then we have to check for earthquake forces also. So these are the major forces. So what are the remaining forces, like silt pressure, ice pressure and wave pressure will be our minor forces. For most conservative design, most conservative means we are taking the forces conservatively, we are overestimating the forces, so that our design will be costly but safe. And from purely theoretical point of view, one can say that a situation may arise when all the forces may act together. So this will be very rare. So if we are considering all the forces to act together, so the stresses will be very high, and we have to use a lot of material, and this will be a very costly design. But at the same time, it will be safe in any case, because we have taken the severe most combination of the forces. But such a situation will never arise, and hence all the forces are not generally taken together. Okay, because if frost is there, there is no need, there is not a condition that earthquake is also rise. Wind is there, so earthquake will not rise. So there are various combination which are prescribed. So USPR has classified the normal load combination and extreme load combination as given below. So we have to check for these two. So what is normal? Let us see. Water pressure up to normal pool level, normal uplift, silt pressure and ice pressure. The case of loading is taken when ice force is serious. Okay. Now, so in this there was water pressure up to normal pool level, normal uplift due to this pressure, silt and ice. Water pressure up to normal pool level, normal uplift, earthquake pressure and silt. So these are the combinations. So first can be this combination, like water pressure, normal uplift, silt pressure and ice pressure. Second can be water pressure up to normal pool level, normal uplift, earthquake force and silt pressure. Here we are not taking ice force, here we have taken, here we are not taking. So third combination can be water pressure up to maximum, reservoir level, normal uplift and silt pressure. So here we are not considering ice and earthquake, because we have taken here maximum reservoir level, while here we have taken normal pool level, and here also we have taken normal pool level. So these are the various combinations which are prescribed. Okay, so let us see what can be the this extreme load combinations. So extreme load combination can be water pressure due to maximum pool level, stream uplift, so maximum pool level, stream uplift without any reduction due to drainage and silt pressure. So this is the extreme load combination. This was the case when reservoir is full. Now let us see when reservoir is empty, what is going to happen. So if reservoir is empty, so empty reservoir without earthquake, forces to be computed for determining bending diagram etc., for reinforcement design, for grouting studies and other purposes. Earthquake reservoir with a horizontal, sorry, this is not earthquake, this is empty reservoir with a horizontal earthquake force produced towards the upstream has to be checked for non-development of tension at toe. So we have to restrict the tension. We can allow very negligible tension, but in most of the cases we will not allow any type of tension. So tension will be zero everywhere in the gravity dam. So let us see modes of failure and criteria for structural stability of gravity dams. So how the gravity dam can fail and how we can stabilize it structurally. That means we have to provide the reinforcement, we have to design the various parameters so that the dam is safe. So for safety we have to first check what are the possible failures. So a gravity dam may fail in the following ways. So first is by overturning about toe. So as I have told you, if this is a dam, so this was toe. So if force is very huge, so it will turn. So this is the most just point. If this is safe, the other points will be safe. So by overturning or rotation, so this can be one type of failure. Second can be by crushing. If the stresses are very huge, the material is not able to take the load anymore, or the stress is generated due to that load and it will crush. By development of tension causing ultimate failure by crushing. If tension is very high, it will lead to higher stresses, and that stresses will lead to crushing of the material, and it can shale by sliding, or sliding is a case of shear. So this is the horizontal force, this is vertical force. If so, shear stress will generate in this direction. If this is greater than the allowable limit, then the dam will slide, and you don't want to see a dam to slide because it is not safe. So let us see the first criteria, that is overturning. If the resultant of all the forces acting on a dam at any of its section passes outside the toe, the dam shall rotate and overturn about the toe. So let us see, this is the dam, this is toe. So if the resultant of all the forces is something like this, it is passing through the outside point, so this distance will make it external moment will come, and it will make the structure to rotate, make the dam to rotate. So this is not acceptable. Okay, so practically such a condition shall not arise, as the dam will fail much earlier by compression. So before overturning, compression will be very huge at the toe point, because its area is very small. So if the forces are very high, it will compressive stresses will generate, and it will fail by crushing before overturning. So the ratio of resisting or righting moment about toe to the ratio of overturning moment. So let me just show you what is these forces. So this is the dam, this is toe. So these are the forces acting. If the righting moment, this is your righting moment, that means it is in anti-clockwise direction. Okay, so this is anti-clockwise direction. So these forces are doing what? These are disturbing the structure, and the weight, if you are taking the moment of weight, which was restoring force about this point, so this is in anti-clockwise direction. So anti-clockwise direction is this was in clockwise direction. So clockwise direction is our disturbing forces, the moment of disturbing forces, and the weight about the moment of weight about toe is anti-clockwise, and it is a restoring or writing moment. So we have to check. And finally the anti-clockwise moment should be greater than clockwise direction, then only the structure or the dam is safe, else it will fail by compression, not overturning, because as I have explained you in detail. Now second is compression or crushing. A dam may fail by failure of its material, that is the compressive stress produced may exceed the allowable stresses and the dam material may get crushed. So in column, in the strength of material column is there, so in that in column we have to check the stresses at the extreme fiber. So you might have seen this kind of formula there. So if you have not seen, just go through your column lecture and you will get it. So the total stress which can come is, first is direct stress and second is bending stress. So direct stress will be summation of vertical forces. Summation V is what? Summation of all the vertical forces. B is this width, okay. M is moment, I is inertia, moment of inertia. Y will be the distance of extreme fiber from the neutral axis, or the at any fiber from which we are calculating the bending stress. So we can put the values here and you can finally get this value, summation V by B multiplied by 1 plus minus 6 E by B. So if we are taking plus sign, then it will give maximum value. If we are taking minus sign, it will give minimum value. So these are the maximum and minimum stresses generated in the dam. What is E? E is the eccentricity due to the unbalanced forces. If the forces are not passing through centroid, then it will generate some kind of moment, and due to that moment some kind of eccentricity will generate. Now let us see vertical stress distribution for two cases. First one is reservoir full case, second one is reservoir empty case. So this is full, this is empty. So resultant, if reservoir is full, so the resultant force will pass through near toe, okay. Resultant is nearer the toe and hence maximum compressive stress is produced at toe, because due to this force, this force will create horizontal thrust, and the resultant, it will lead the resultant to pass nearer to toe. But if there is no external water is there, so no force will be there, so the resultant will pass nearer to the heel, okay. You have to keep this in mind. Now let us see. So the maximum we have located where the maximum force is going to produce. So two cases can be there, like maximum 3 cases. First one is here P max and P min, which is greater than 0. That means there is no tension. You can see here only compression is there. Or like if P minimum is less than 0, so some part will be in tension and remaining part will be in compression. Or one more case will be there when P min is 0. So this is also full compression case. Similarly, when the reservoir is empty, the maximum is coming at heel. So again 2 cases, when P minimum is less than 0 and when P minimum is greater than 0. So while solving the problems, you have to be very, very careful. Like we have to check first whether the case is of reservoir full or reservoir empty. Now P minimum comes out to be negative. It means that tension shall be produced at appropriate end if P minimum is negative. So if it is a reservoir full case, so the tension will come at heel. If it is a reservoir empty case, the tension will come at toe. If P minimum exceeds the allowable compressive stress of dam, the material the stress of the dam material, which is generally taken as 3000 kPa or 3000 kilonewton per meter square, for the dam may crush and fail by crushing. So we have to check P minimum should not exceed this value. Okay, so this was the case of what? Compression or crushing. Now let us see tension, how tension is going to affect our dam. So masonry or concrete dam are usually designed in such a way that no tension. Okay, so there should be no tension developed anywhere, because these material cannot withstand sustained tensile stresses. If sustained load is there, so gradually it will lead to greater tension, and which is not acceptable. So we will design the dam in such a way that there should be no tension developed. If subjected to such stresses, these material may finally crack. So we have to avoid this type of cracking. However, for achieving economy in design of very high gravity dams, certain amount of tension may be permitted under severest loading condition. So if loading is very severe, so we have to allow certain tension, but it should not be greater than the permissible value. This may be permitted because of the fact that such worst loading conditions shall only momentarily for a little time and would neither last long nor occur frequently. Okay, so the maximum permissible tensile stress of high concrete gravity dam under worst loading condition may be taken as 500 kPa or 5 kg per centimeter square. So if data is not given, permissible value is not given, then you can take 5 kPa value. So let us see what are the effects which are produced by tension cracks. In dams, when such a tension crack develops, say at the heel crack width, so it will crack, tension will crack the section and it will lose the contact. If like some material there, so due to tension this cracking will occur. So what is happening here? The contact is losing. Okay, so this is not good for us or the stability of the dam, so we are not going to allow it. Hence the effective width, so if the contact is losing, so effective width will be less, and effective width, if it is less, so the formula for stress was summation V by P. So if it is reducing, so overall stress will increase. So this is not good. So moreover, the uplift pressure diagram gets modified due to crack formation, resulting in an increase in uplift. So uplift will increase, so it will reduce the effective weight, and weight is a restoring force. That's why it will reduce the stability. So you can read it out. Whatever I have explained here, I have write in the words. So what to do if we want to have no tension? So P minimum should be 0. Okay, so P minimum is 1 minus E upon B by 6. So we can check the eccentricity, the allowed eccentricity should be B by 6 or less than maximum. It can be E can be maximum less than equal to B by 6 for no tension anywhere in the dam. So maximum eccentricity will be 2E by 2E, that E max will be 2E, so 2 into B by 6 means B by 3. So this is the middle third rule. This also you have seen in your column chapter of strength of materials. So this is nothing but the middle third rule, that is the resultant must lie within the middle third. Okay, so this what we have seen: tension, compression, overturning. Now let us see sliding case. So sliding will occur when the net horizontal force above any plane in the dam or at the base of the dam exceeds the frictional resistance developed at that level. So what is friction? Frictional force will it is the mu times summation V, where summation V is the algebraic sum of all the vertical forces whether upward or downward. So we want this condition. So this ratio is nothing but the factor of safety should be greater than 1. Then only sliding is not occurring. Okay. So if it is greater than 1, then sliding will not occur and the structure is safe against overturning. So this will be all for today. In the next lecture we are going to see one more thing I want to discuss. So in low gravity dams, the safety against sliding should be checked only for friction. But what if the dam is high? So high dams, for economical precise design, the shear strength of joints, which is an additional shear is coming from the joints, that also we have to consider. So in this mu times summation b, one more factor q times b. What is q? Q is average shear strength of the joint. Clear? So now this will become SFF, which is nothing but the shear friction factor. Okay, shear friction factor we have to calculate, and it should be greater than 1, obviously. So now let us see. This we are going to discuss in the next class, principal and shear stresses. Okay, so this is all for today. Thank you.